Hola. Okay, so example 3, again, we're starting with one form of a quadratic equation and converting it to the other two forms. So the first thing I need to know is what form do we have so I know which forms to convert the equation to. Okay, so if you think back, which the paper I have covering up the answers are on here. Okay, so if you look at this problem, or if we look here, which form does it appear to be in? Oh man, you guys always know the answer. It would be vertex form. If you see here, we have the A, H, and K values. Okay, so knowing that, since we're starting from vertex form, that means we need to now convert it into standard form and factored form. Okay, now, I've told you guys that sometimes it is very important the order that you go in. Okay, so you cannot get from factored form from vertex form. You have to be in standard form in order to factor a polynomial. Yeah, so when in doubt, get your equation into standard form first, because you can always get every form from standard form. You can't always get the other forms from forms that are not standard form. So just be careful. Again, every other time we've done this, you've had to get it to standard form first. So when in doubt, get your equation into standard form and then you'll be golden. Okay, so to get our equation into standard form, what we're going to basically do is simplify our expression down, which you're probably like, Miss Long, isn't it already simplified? It's in vertex form. Well, technically, you could simplify it further. It's just very sneaky. Okay, it's like a sneaky little ninja. Okay, so what we're going to do, okay, I'm going to look at this squared right here. What does it mean to square a number? Like if you have 3 squared, what does that mean? Well, 3 squared is 9 because 3 times 3 equals 9. When you square something, you multiply it to itself. Okay, so we need to square the x minus 3 parenthesis. Now, be very, very careful. The demon cats love to get people on this. Okay, don't you ever, when you have a binomial squared, which this is a binomial because I have 2 terms, you can never like distribute the exponent to each term. Like this is not x squared and then negative 3 squared. No, that's when the demon cats get you. You can't do that. That is illegal. So just watch it. Okay, I'm going to rewrite x minus 3 2 times because when you square something, it means to multiply something to itself. Okay, so just be very, very careful, you guys. The demon cats are always out to get people with this. Okay, so I'm literally rewriting x minus 3 2 times. Okay, and now that I've written it 2 times, you probably see, how do you solve something when you have 2 parentheses side by side? You distribute. Now, me personally, I like to distribute these 2 parentheses first, then deal with the 2. Technically, you can distribute the 2 to one of the parentheses, and then whatever you get, distribute it to the other parentheses. But a lot of times, my students end up messing something up when they do that, especially when they try to multiply the 2 to everything. Don't do that. You don't multiply the 2 to both parentheses, because then you're multiplying 2 twice, so you're actually multiplying by 4. Okay, so what I like to do, I'm just going to bring on down the 2. I'm going to deal with the 2 later. Okay, the 2 is right now an afterthought. I'm not thinking about the 2. Okay, right now, I'm going to only focus on this. I'm going to distribute my 2x minus 3 parentheses. Then, whatever I end up with, I'll multiply that to my 2. Okay, so let's start distributing. Okay, I'm going to start with the x term and multiply it to both of these. So x times x is x squared. X times negative 3x, or negative 3 is negative 3x. Okay, and then let's multiply the other one. So I'm going to distribute negative 3 to both of these terms. Negative 3 times x is negative 3x. Negative 3 times negative 3 is 9. And then I'm just going to bring on down the 4 on the end. The 4 is kind of an afterthought right now too. Okay, now, technically you guys can go ahead and distribute the 2. Okay, in my opinion, I like to simplify whatever's in the parenthesis down because ultimately you will have less work if you do that. Okay, so I'm going to combine like terms first, then deal with the 2. Okay, so again, we must start with the term with the highest exponent, which is this x squared. I don't have anything else to combine it to, so I'm just going to bring it on down. My next two like terms are the negative 3x and the negative 3x, which negative 3x minus 3x is negative 6x. And then I'm going to bring down my final number, which is the 9. So bring on down that plus 9. And then I'm going to bring down the negative 4. Okay, so now that I've simplified down my parenthesis, now I'm going to take the 2 and distribute it to every single term in the parenthesis. Don't multiply 2 to that negative 4. Don't do that. Okay, so let's go. So I'm going to take the 2 and multiply it to every single term. And I'm going to write it this way because I'm kind of out of space up top, so I'm just going to do it on the bottom. Okay, let's distribute. 2 times x squared is 2x squared. 2 times negative 6x is negative 12x. And 2 times 9 is positive 18. And then I'm going to bring on down that negative 4. Okay, my final step is to combine like terms. Okay, I only have one 2x squared, so I'm going to bring it on down. I only have one negative 12x, so I'm going to bring that on down. And then my last two terms are like terms, and I can combine them. So 18 minus 4 is positive 14. So guess what, you guys? Standard form is 2x squared minus 12x plus 14. There we go. So we basically just have to do some distributing and combining like terms to get from vertex form into standard form. Okay, now, to get to factored form, you have to start from standard form. You have to. So I'm going to rewrite standard form real quickly. All right, and again, since we are getting this to factored form, probably the best way to do that is to factor. Now, it is not wrong to do the quadratic formula or completing the square, but if you happen to do that in this problem, something's going to happen, which when I get done factoring, I'll kind of explain what your answer would look like if you decide to complete the square quadratic formula. Okay, so I'm going to get started by factoring. What is the very first thing you should always try to factor out before you can factor anything else out? That would be your GCF. Don't forget, always factor out the GCF first. Always. Okay. So looking here, what is the largest number that divides into 2, 12, and 14? That would be a 2. Okay, and I can't put x in my GCF because not every term has an x. This term does not have an x, so it cannot be in my GCF. So my GCF is going to be a 2. Okay, so I'm going to divide every single term by the GCF. 2x squared divided by 2, well 2 divided by 2 cancels and turns to 1, which leaves me with x squared. Okay, negative 12x divided by 2 is negative 12. Sorry. Interrupting my presentation. Rude. Anyways, and look, I messed up because that distracted me, man. Sorry, guys. Demon cats are already out to get me. Oh no. Okay, so negative 12x divided by 2. Well, negative 12 divided by 2 is negative 6. And then I just bring on down the x. 14 divided by 2 is 7. Okay, so from here, you guys always look inside your parenthesis and you ask yourself, can I keep factoring? Okay, and we always hope we can because we love to factor. Okay, so since I have 3 terms and a quadratic in my parenthesis, what technique do I try to use to factor? That would be general factoring, which remember, I do it by sliding and dividing. So let's get started. So I want to find 2 numbers that multiply to be AC and add to be B. Okay, so I'm going to slide A to C, or multiply them, which I don't see a number in front of the x squared, which means there's secretly a 1. Okay, so I'm going to slide the A to the C. 1 times 7 is 7, and then my B is going to be negative 6. Alright, so remember, if we are multiplying to get a positive number, either both of these numbers are positive or both of them are negative. Now, the only thing that multiplies by 7 is 1 and 7. Does positive 1 plus positive 7 equal negative 6? No, that's negative 8. Negative 7 minus 1 more is negative 8, so that's not going to work. The only way we could get that is if 7 was negative and 1 was positive. But then negative 7 times 1 is not positive 7, it's negative 7. So if you guys see here, I cannot factor using general factoring. It doesn't work. Okay, so since I cannot factor anymore, this didn't work. That means we have reached factored form. Okay, so if you guys happen to do the quadratic formula or completing the square, what would have happened is you would have gotten imaginary solutions. Alright, so it's not wrong to do the quadratic formula or completing the square. You just would have ended up with imaginary roots, and then you probably wouldn't have known how to write it in a factored form because you would have to factor out the GCF to know, well, you could write the A value in front. Like, you could have put the 2 in the front, but then you wouldn't really know what else to write in the parenthesis to get the sorry, guys, factored form. I need to get some water. Sorry, guys. Okay, I'm rehydrated now. Sorry about that, my voice. Embarrassing. But anyways, so it's not wrong, again, to do the quadratic formula or completing the square. Just if I'm trying to write it in factored form, the easiest way to get there is by factoring. So usually you do completing the square quadratic formula if you want to solve for x, like if you want to get x equals something. But again, it's not wrong. Just if you did it, you would end up with imaginary roots. Okay? So my final answer, the factored form of this equation, would be this right here. It'd be y equals 2 times x squared minus 6x plus 7. That's as far as I can factor it. I tried to keep going and it didn't work. So unfortunately, I know it's really sad, you guys, but we have reached the end. This is factored form. And that's it, you guys. So I hope you had a blast. I totally did. I'm really sad because this is over now. But nice work. You guys did wonderful.